Native people, Native culture, Native knowledge. Hi, I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you award-winning Heartbeat Alaska.
Bringing you national and international Native news, this is award-winning Heartbeat Alaska, the premier Native voice in Native programming.
There's a heartbeat, louder than thunder, revolution is in the air. There's a heartbeat deep inside our mother. Are you too cool to care?
Now, with Heartbeat Alaska, here's Jeannie Green.
Hello, welcome to Heartbeat Alaska, Native news and Native information. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello to my good friends in Western Alaska. Nice to have you with us. Hello to my good friends all over the state. Heartbeat Alaska's Native news, and it's produced in Anchorage, Alaska, just for you. Today we travel to the Yupik village of Quinhagak, Alaska. It's a wonderful village, especially this time of year. It's also the site of a popular fishing river, and it's causing problems for the local natives. John Active is up next with Native news across the country, and then we're off to Quinhagak, Alaska to go fishing on the river, to go to a spirit camp and a fish camp. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
For a copy of today's program, send $25, check or money order to Heartbeat Alaska, 5861 Arctic Boulevard, Unit B, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. Give us a call, 907-563-7440.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Kotzebue. And to my grandparents, Dick and Lily Curtis. Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to my family in Kotzebue. That's Jody, Frank, and Tony, and to all the relatives in Nana region. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hello, Salwick. Hi. We'd like to say happy Thanksgiving to all you Salwick people and to my daughter, Florence Snyder and Stella Snyder, and my boys, Rodney Snyder and Junior Snyder. They grew. Happy Thanksgiving, Tommy and Amelia Ballard.
Hi, I'm John Active. Welcome to Native News across the country, especially Quinhagak. Hello. First of all, from Washington, D.C., the Senate Interior Appropriations Committee cut President Clinton's Indian budget by over $140 million, and the cuts don't bode well for law enforcement and safe school initiatives for tribes across the nation. BI officials say Indian programs were the only department under the Interior that did not see an increase in their budgets. Last week, Assistant Secretary Kevin Grover said law enforcement had been earmarked as a priority because increasingly violent crimes are being committed on reservations nationwide, and the offenders are younger. Police, jails, courts, child protection, and crime prevention are the 5 areas that would have received a $7 million increase in the president's Indian budget. Safe learning environment for Indian children will also suffer under the Appropriations Acts. The Appropriations budget will now go to the full Senate Conference Committee, then will be discussed on the House side of Congress. The full bill is expected to go before Congress by August. From Washington, D.C. again, the Rosebud Sioux Reservation is set to receive $6 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for housing needs. The funding, authorized under the Native American Housing Assistance and Self-Determination Act of 1996, will be given to the tribe in the form of a block grant. From St. Paul, Minnesota, Luella Seeley, coordinator of the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe Area Agency on Aging in Cass Lake, has received the 1998 Louise B. Gerard Award for contributions to rural older Americans from the National Association of State Units on Aging in Washington, D.C. Ms. Seeley has worked in her position for 30 years. Seeley was nominated for the award by the Minnesota Board on Aging. And from Vancouver, British Columbia, victims of physical and sexual abuse at Native residential schools in British Columbia are celebrating a court victory in their fight for justice. The court ruled this week that both the United Church and federal government are equally responsible for abuses suffered at the Port Alberni Indian Reservation School and must share compensation. The church and government had denied responsibility. Another hearing will be held to set the level of compensation. Canada once had more than 80 Indian residential schools, including 18 in British Columbia. Those schools operated from the early 1800s to the mid-1980s and were run by churches under contract to the federal government. I'll be right back after these messages.
Thanks, John. If you'd like a copy of Heartbeat Alaska, stick around. Or if you'd like to find out how to get news to us, here's how it's done.
For a copy of today's program, send $25, check, or money order to Heartbeat Alaska, 5861 Arctic Boulevard, Unit B, Anchorage, Alaska, 99518. Give us a call, 907-563-7440.
Welcome to a very special place, the Chugach Heritage Center in Seward, a place where the rich culture of the Chugach people is presented in a unique environment, where legends of the past are brought to life in colorful performances.
I needed the younger people, our future, to make that connection with our past, which are the elders, and save who we are.
Very, very impressive show.
I just loved the show. It was really wonderful.
It's absolutely a must for you to see.
I'm proud that we have a place now where we can show our heritage and teach other people besides just our own culture.
For a truly remarkable experience, visit the Chugach Heritage Center in Seward, where exciting performances and unique exhibits take you beyond the legends.
From Columbus, Ohio, a man who organized a motorcycle rally in the Wayne National Forest has been indicted after allegedly damaging ancient Indian campsites. It was the first time criminal charges were filed in Ohio in connection with a 1979 law that protects archaeological resources. A second count accuses Drew Wolf of Nelsonville of damaging the southeast Ohio forest. If convicted, Wolf could be sentenced to up to 12 years in prison. The 1996 rally included more than 100 motorcycles. And finally, a couple of weeks ago, I went over to visit Portage Glacier. Instead of running to the glaciers, I ran into a host of tourists. There were millions of them. They were everywhere, just like mosquitoes. I ran to one of them and asked them, "Are you tourists?" Why, they said yes. And then I asked them, "May I take your picture?" And of course, they wanted to stand in front of the glacier, but I told them to stand in front of the parked cars instead. Then one of them asked me if I was an Eskimo. I said, "Why, yes, I'm an Eskimo." They went wilder. One of them asked, "Prove to me you're an Eskimo." I said, "Okay." And she said, "How do you build an igloo?" Well, I thought a while and I said, "Gee, I don't know. You have to go to Hollywood for that. We don't live in igloos." Well, I asked him in turn, I said, "Where are you from?" He said, "New Jersey." I said, "Well, prove it. Say, 'Please don't pour coffee on my dog.'" Well, he couldn't make out what I was after that and left me alone. Thank you for watching Native News Across the Country. I'm John Active.
Thank you so much, John Active. We travel now to Yupik country, Quinhagak, Alaska. Quinhagak, situated on a river that's famous for fishing. It's causing problems for local residents, however.
Oh, we have about 560 people here. Our population grows in the summer with commercial fishermen coming down from Kuskokwim river villages, and about 12 to 1,500 recreational users that come to the river each summer.
Anthony Kaola is the tribal administrator for the native village of Quinhagak, Alaska, a beautiful Yupik village located on a very, very popular fishing stream. This stream is not that well known in Alaska. However, internationally, it's becoming very well known, and that's causing problems for the local residents. These residents, whose ancestors fished here, subsisted here for thousands of years, are now having to contend with tourists and the problems they bring with them.
We did some water quality testing and found out that there were high levels of fecal coliform and also another type of bacteria that is indicative of human waste in the water. Well, we felt it was important that if the state or the federal government wasn't going to step up their enforcement efforts, that basically the village was the only one that was left to take care of that.
A request by the tribal government of Quinhagak to police tourist fishermen on a Guniktuak River has been officially rejected by the Knowles administration. Instead, the state will enlarge its full official presence in the area by sending extra money and personnel to back the Yupik community. Quinhagak on the Bering Sea had sought authority for its own tribal police for enforcing rules governing such things as camping rules and human waste along the Guniktuak River, a popular fly-in sport fishing river that flows past the village.
Even the state has admitted that there is an enforcement vacuum on the river. They don't even seem to have any authority to delegate to the river rangers. And the legislature hasn't helped us because they're considering removing the special status from sensitive rivers that allow the different state agencies to regulate more effectively. You know, what we're seeing is a push to increase access, reduce the amount of regulation, and that's great for the sport fishing industries and the recreational users, but it leaves the communities that have to deal with those impacts out of the equation. And that's where the part of the crisis is. From the community's point of view, we see an enormous number of people coming to the river with no ability by the community to mitigate the impact of those users on the river. And that's what we're concerned about. Some regulations need to be in place and they need to be enforced.
In the past years, it's changed a lot. Last year, we had a little bit more authority last year, but this year it's a whole different story. We can only inform them that, you know, what they're doing is wrong. Like if they're camping on a state gravel bar which has no vegetation on it, that means they can stay 3 days, then move 1 mile away from that campsite. And if they're camping on a vegetated area that's corporation land or private land or native allotment.
I think as far as our tribal police, you know, we have extended an olive branch to the state to partner with the state, to work together, to use the resources that we've brought to Quinhagak to address the community's concerns, to protect the fishery and the resources. And it's discouraging at this point that we can't seem to get some type of official relationship going where our tribal police are more than just taxi drivers on the river. You know, we're doing things in all areas, not just in law enforcement, but in fisheries. We're providing data to the state for fish and game, counting salmon. You know, we've demonstrated that tribes can be important players in rural Alaska, and it's ridiculous for the state not to really take hold of that and be a partner with us and be willing to delegate responsibility, which we've already assumed in other areas. And if the state isn't willing to do that, then we are certainly looking towards the federal government to for cross-deputization or for other areas. People have said that under a federal takeover for subsistence, that, you know, they talk about the past and how the fisheries have been mismanaged, but we actually see that as an opportunity because the federal government has been working with tribes for decades, and they seem to be more equipped to work with tribes and involve tribes in the management and in co-management. So to us it's an opportunity. Of course we'd like that same opportunity with the state, and hopefully one day the state will wake up and realize what they're missing.
A popular fly-in sport fishing river that flows past the village. The river and its gravel bars are managed by the state, but village officials have complained for years that state officials rarely show up in the area, leaving no real authority. Quinhagak said it was willing to patrol the river under close state supervision. State officials agree, though, there are problems, particularly with human waste left on the gravel bars by anglers. The village draws its drinking water from the Kanichtuk.
We take our drinking water right from the river, and we have a treated drinking water system, but a lot of people are sensitive to chlorinated water, and they've been taking water directly from the river for centuries.
The general mood is not really an anxious mood or an angry mood. I feel that it's confused, and when we have confusion, then we have a whole gamut of other emotions that surface on that, and everyone deals with confusion in a different way. And we're confused about what our responsibility is to the river and what our responsibility is to ourselves, what responsibility the state has to us as far as monitoring the river and policing the river. Those are concerns. Those are very important concerns that affect us on a regular basis, that will affect us historically. So the confusion is what brings about a lot of other types of emotions to the surface that we all deal with and contend in different ways, depending on where we're at that time, emotionally speaking, in our lives.
Along with the tourists, brings a new way of looking at the world, a way the elders find puzzling. Local elders complain of a Western tradition of playing with their fish. Most people know it as catch and release. The elders disapprove of this callous playing with their food and often see the wounds of such activity. Thank you so much, residents of Quinhagak, Alaska, for your help on this story. We appreciate the courtesy that you showed our cameraman. And I'd like to thank you once again for helping make it possible financially for us to get to your village. Heartbeat Alaska's Native News created to help Native people, to show our perspective to the rest of the world. I hope that by showing your plight in Quinhagak, that there may be some changes in the future. Let's take a moment now for some rock and roll. I'll be back real soon.
I've been looking back on the road that I've walked on, a pathway that's no longer mine. 'Cause Lord, I've seen so clearly how me living your way means leaving like I've never seen. Lord, it's been good seeing your spirit's at work in. He's taking these edges off me. And Lord, I've been changing, but how well you know, Lord, sometimes change don't come easily. But I see all you've done for me, Jesus. And I see what I would have been. But your spirit's been moving, your spirit's been changing. And I see now like I've never seen. I see now like I've never seen.
Thank you once again for joining us for Heartbeat Alaska Native News and Native Information. If you'd like to help keep Heartbeat Alaska on the air, we're taking donations, contributions. Heartbeat Alaska is a nonprofit organization created to serve you. If you'd like to help, give us a call, 907-563-7440. By the way, if you've had a hard time reaching me by telephone, it's because we moved our studio. In one more week, you'll be able to reach me once again. God bless you all for joining us. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you again next week.
Donny,